The loss in Toronto St. Paul's. How critical are these by-elections?
Every election matters. We have strong candidates in both of those ridings. Speaking for myself, and I am sure Jamie will agree, our MPs, our caucus, our government, we are really focused on delivering.
Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland recently announced that the federal Liberals have strong contenders in 2 upcoming by-elections, scheduled for September 16th. But the circumstances surrounding this announcement, although unavoidable, are almost bizarre, and it would seem that fate is pointing the Liberal Party towards disaster.
Liberal Justice Minister David Lametti has announced he's leaving politics after 8 years as an MP. The Montreal MP made the announcement at a meeting of caucus in Ottawa, saying he's resigning with mixed emotions. First elected in 2015, the former law professor served in a variety of parliamentary secretary roles before taking over as Justice Minister in 2019 after Jody Wilson-Raybould resigned. Lametti was one of 7 ministers ousted in the last cabinet shuffle.
The Montreal riding became vacant after former Liberal cabinet minister David Lametti retired. Lametti, who served as Minister of Justice and Attorney General, had held the seat comfortably since 2015, but was unexpectedly dropped from the cabinet last summer. The Liberals have chosen City Councillor Laura Palestini to contest the riding. Now, she faces competition from the NDP's Craig Suave, another city councillor. Then there's Louis Philippe Suave for the Bloc Québécois, a former political staffer, and business owner Louis Ayalenti for the Conservatives. Historically in this riding, Bloc candidates have placed second with the NDP in third. In Elmwood, Triscana, Winnipeg, the riding opened up after former NDP MP Daniel Blocky left federal politics to work with the provincial NDP office. He had represented the riding since 2015, maintaining a strong lead over the years. Leela Dance, a local business improvement organization leader, will represent the NDP. The Conservatives have put forward Colin Reynolds, an electrician who is a strong union leader, and the Liberals have chosen union leader Ian McIntyre. Historically, the NDP has dominated this riding, except for a brief Conservative win from 2011 to 2015.
Preliminary results from Elections Canada show the financial and marketing specialists claim just over 15,500 votes, or 42.1%. The seat has been a Liberal stronghold for the last 10 elections. However, Liberal candidate Leslie Church is hot on his tail, just 590 votes away with 40.1% of the vote.
These by-elections come after a surprising Liberal loss in Toronto St. Paul's in June, which was the first time the Liberals lost a Toronto riding since 2015. This defeat has led to internal discussions and calls for an emergency national meeting, which Prime Minister Trudeau has declined. He remains steadfast in his commitment to lead the party into the next general election, despite national polls showing the Liberals trailing the Conservatives by significant margins. The upcoming races will be crucial in testing the Liberals' current standing in electoral strength.
7 premiers and 70% of Canadians have called on Trudeau to spike the hike, but they wouldn't have had the courage to do it had there not been a trailblazer leading the way in your common-sense Conservative Premier, the great Daniel.
Meanwhile, the Conservatives planned an anti-carbon tax rally in Elmwood, Transcona, knowing that it might be the day the Prime Minister calls a by-election. The seat in contention used to be occupied by the late Bill Blocky, who was the area's Member of Parliament for 3 decades, after which his son Daniel has been the MP for nearly a decade himself. He resigned to take on an advisory role with the provincial premier. This hasn't always been an orange seat. When Stephen Harper's Conservatives swept to a majority in 2011, this riding went blue, but only until the 2015 election when it flipped back to the NDP.
Your career right now, please.
I do indeed. Today I announced that I'll be vacating my seat as the Member of Parliament for Elmwood Transcona effective March 31st to go work with the new government of Wabkanu in Manitoba as the Senior Advisor on Intergovernmental Affairs.
You've been here a good while. You've followed in the footsteps of your late father. Why the transition time now, other than obviously the new government?
Yeah, well, I'm really proud of all the work that we've...
So, without a Blakey on the ballot, the NDP is at a disadvantage, especially given the Conservatives' current high polling numbers. Historically, as seen in 2011, the Conservatives have a chance to win this seat. And by the way, Daniel resigned following a highly disgraceful and vulgar display in the House of Commons. His sudden resignation later that day left many stunned by his dramatic exit. But despite going out in a blaze of glory, his behavior was highly disrespectful to the House and Canadians.
Westboro since 2013.
The people, they can see the NDP as a real alternative that's going to stand up for them, and they're looking for change right now. It's unbelievable what I'm seeing at the doors, and that goes for every quadrant of this riding.
Voters will go to the polls September 16th to fill the seat left vacant by former Justice Minister David Lametti. Lametti had held the longtime Liberal stronghold since its creation in 2015, but now political scientists say it's a close contest.
It's really a race between...
Whatever the case, it's the other by-election in Quebec on September 16th that everybody will be watching closely. This is not a straightforward case where one can predict that a particular party won't win, as demonstrated by the unexpected result in Toronto St. Paul's. In fact, most recent polls may be underestimating opposition to Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government. So, a quick review of the latest polling data is needed to understand the current political landscape better.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has announced by-elections set for September 16th in 2 ridings, LaSalle, Imard-Verdun in Quebec, and Elmwood-Transcona in Manitoba. The Liberal Party aims to retain LaSalle Imard-Verdun, which became vacant after former Justice Minister David Lametti's resignation. Montreal City Councillor Laura Palestini has been selected as the Liberal candidate.
In LaSalle Imard-Verdun, the Liberals currently lead with 39%, holding a 6% advantage over both the NDP and the Bloc, while the Conservatives are at 14%. This is a significant change from the 2021 election, where the Liberals had 43% on the vote, indicating a 13% drop and a loss of over 1 in 4 supporters. Meanwhile, the Bloc and the NDP have slightly increased their support, and the Conservatives have doubled theirs. Although it's unlikely that the Conservatives will win this traditionally Bloc and Liberal area, there's a realistic chance that the Liberals could lose to the Bloc, which would be a significant blow for them in this by-election.
Plausible outcome for the Liberals in these by-elections.
Well, okay, so we agree here, we're talking about plausible scenarios, right?
Sure.
Because, okay, so the worst plausible scenario. Here's what I think. I want to know what you think, Eric. I think the worst plausible scenario for the Liberals would be to finish third. To finish third.
So is another Liberal stronghold about to fall. And why is this by-election seen as a referendum on Justin Trudeau's leadership? If you are from the Liberal Party, then this presents a daunting scenario. It's all risk and no advantage. You get virtually no reprieve if you win this riding, but the compounding effect of losing it is even worse. If only the by-election hadn't been naturally triggered after the departure of former Justice Minister David Lametti in January. Now it seems the race could serve as a referendum on Justin Trudeau's leadership.
So I feel like if in a loss for the Liberals, if the Bloc takes it, I think it's more winnable in the future. If the NDP takes it, the NDP could sit there for a while. But it's also possible that the Liberals finish third, and then it's a complete humiliation.
So you're saying a third-place finish in LaSalle.
Moreover, the Liberals have placed their hopes on longtime Montreal City Councillor Laura Palestini, who is determined to retain the seat. And while she is apparently confident in her chances, she aims to position her party as the best alternative to a potential Poilievre government. Despite the Conservative candidate, Louis Ellen, not being her main competitor, the race is expected to be a 3-way contest with the New Democrats and the Bloc Quebecios, both of whom have a history of strong performance in the region. Historically, the Conservatives have not been successful in this area, while the Bloc and NDP have vied for second place.
Stronghold in the Toronto St. Paul's riding in a recent by-election. Meantime, new questions about the future of a multi-billion-dollar battery plant in Ontario after the company behind it says it's pausing funding. With more this morning is the Globe and Mail's Laura Stone. Good morning.
Good morning, Emery.
All right, let's start with these races. The one in the Quebec riding of LaSalle Imard-Verdun is of particular concern for the Liberals, with the party holding a comfortable hold over it since 2015. But as we know,
on his part, Louis Philippe Saucy, a Bloc candidate and former political staffer, is puzzled by Laura's confidence given the discontent with the Trudeau Liberals. He notes that the New Democrats' ongoing support for the minority Liberal government through their parliamentary alliance is a significant problem for them. He also finds it odd that her campaign focuses on fighting the Conservatives, who are in fourth place. The strategy, according to him, benefits the Bloc, making it easier for them to campaign. He especially believes that the Bloc is well positioned to take advantage of this situation as well.
Rolex watches, BMWs, Versace bag.
A new Conservative attack ad takes personal swipes at Jagmeet Singh to appeal to working-class voters the NDP historically champions.
Traditional support. Ultimately, the challenge for NDP candidates in the by-elections is that while they want to differentiate themselves from the Liberals, they're also simultaneously supporting the Liberals through their parliamentary alliance. This contradiction makes it difficult for them to argue against voting Liberal. The hope is that by the general election, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh will develop a clear strategy to separate from the Liberals and present a compelling case for voting NDP. However, for now, the situation is comparable to cheering for an unexpected ally just to see a common rival lose. As always, it's John at your service, and the verdict on this one is fate is not on the Liberals' side. So are we helplessly looking at an inevitable disaster that could spell the beginning of the end for Trudeau? We'll certainly keep you posted, and we'll see you again in our next political Lollapalooza.